The reproduction of this content is not allowed without the express written consent of EBH Fitness, LLC.
Every score, every story, every voice that matters in the Borderland. This is FSEN Daily, Sports Entertainment News. If it matters here, it matters here.
Hello and welcome to FSEN Daily. I'm your host, Carrie Silva, and today with me I have author Michael Parker and his book, Don't Thank Me for My Service, Allow Me to Explain. Michael, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
It's wonderful to have you. So first of all, I have to ask about the title. Don't Thank Me for My Service, Allow Me to Explain. Can you tell us a little bit about why you chose this title and what other runner-ups you may have had?
It started out, the title was Don't Thank Me for My Service. That was it. I decided to put the extra part to it, allow me to explain afterwards, because I didn't want to come off as being aggressive or unthankful or ungrateful for people saying those words. But I wanted them to understand why they should say it and what it should come from those words. It should be more than just words, like going on a car lot and you talk to a carman and the first thing the car salesman asks you, and you say, I'm just looking. I didn't want it to be that type of conversational piece. I wanted you to hear it from not only from me, but from other service members that I've talked to and met and had experiences in life with, and how we perceive those words. So I put Allow Me to Explain. That kind of changed the title a little bit. But the Don't Thank Me for My Service, of course, is kind of provocative. It's supposed to start a conversation.
Okay, so you wanted to provoke a conversation.
Yeah. Which is also why the flag is on the cover of the book. Normally that flag, when you see it represented in that format, it's when it's what we call a tricorn, a tricorn. It actually represents something too, because what happened was, the story behind the flag is, it was based off of the Revolutionary War. And in the Revolutionary War, when they wore their hats, they were shaped like that. I don't know if you remember it in history or not, but they used to wear the hats and they were in a tricorn. Later on, what happened is, we decided we needed a way to transport the flag. I'm saying we as in Americans, to transport the flag. We didn't have any symbolism behind it at all. It was just an easy way to transport the flag from point A to point B. We would fold it this way and keep it neat and tucked in. It would protect the flag. Later on, what happened is, it turned into a symbol that was given as gratitude, thanks, and integrity for people that served in the military. And we would give it to people in their funeral. And what we would do is we'd make sure that we always gave it to them, and the point of the flag would always point away, so that they would hold the base of the triangle, the trifold. But it also symbolizes, that's the same shape of the flag that we get when we retire from the military. And the symbolism behind putting it on the book is, if it didn't have a meaning in the beginning when you started at, and you gave it to people that served and sacrificed their life, now you also give that same flag shaped the exact same way to veterans after they serve, that were fortunate enough to leave with their life. Is that all? Is that where it stops once you give us the flag? Or is there more that has to go behind it? And that's what the book is basically about. what is the expectations of a service member? What was the agreement that we made when we enlisted? And what is the commitment to the service member from the country? And that's what that book is basically about. It's about opening that dialogue and seeing where some shortcomings have come about, some needs have been addressed. Some things are, like I said about the flag, just a symbol with no backing behind it. Mm-hmm. And what can we do to try and fix it? It's a we thing. How can we fix it?
Wow. I'll never look at the cover the same way again after that. Well, let's get right into it. So you write here on page 19 that as of 2023, 1.3 million Americans are on active duty, and that's less than 0.5% of the American population. When you add that in with 800,000 National Guardsmen, you still have more than 99% of the American people that don't have any experience with direct military service, what it is to serve. And you write a lot about this disconnect between civilians and people who have served in the military or people who are serving in the military. You refer to it as an invisible wall. Can you first tell me when you became aware of this disconnect between civilians and military servicemen and women?
I think it was more evident after I retired. The hardest question anybody ever asked me was when I retired and I'm going through the process of getting out the military, and they asked me what do I want to do. Nobody had ever asked me that before. 27 years in the military. First time somebody asked me, what do you want to do? And then how do I translate what I've done at a high level for 27 years into the civilian world? Even though there was programs, and we'll talk about it, they're in the book, that help you transition in and out the military, excuse me. Those programs don't break down that barrier. There's a barrier between, I guess I would call it the information flow, as far as the wording that we use and the wording that you use. Like, how do I transfer MOS to civilian? Mm-hmm. What does that mean to you? It doesn't mean anything to you because you don't know what MOS means.
No, I don't.
Right. So that has to be something that is addressed. That's a wall. If I say I was a combat engineer, what does that relate to in the civilian world? Mm-hmm. In the military, combat engineer was a skill set that we dabbled in a whole lot of different realms. We did planning, design, architect. We did trenches, ditches, demo, bridge building. All of that stuff was emboldened in that one MOS. Mm-hmm. So I dabbled in a lot. And as you got higher in rank, you learn more and more in depth. But when I get out the military, I don't have what a civilian would be looking for, which is a certificate in this, a certificate in that, mm-hmm. you know. So there's a wall there. And I don't think that people have still, to this point, found a way to break that wall down completely. It's something that's going to take focus and understanding that there is a wall. It also comes with being a stigma. You know, most civilians think of military people as, well, they have everything and they're taken care of, and they don't know what the sacrifices and time and commitment that you put into this job so that 99% of the population don't have to do it. And it's it's different, you know. And if you're not on this side of it and you're on the other side, you don't think about it. Prime example, I was scrolling through the internet and came across, I want to say the Breakfast Club, which is a famous radio station. And one of the retired basketball players, NBA players, suggested that America adapt a 1-year mandatory service, which is something that a lot of countries do.
Mm-hmm.
America used to have the draft, but a lot of countries still to this day have a mandatory service. That's one way of breaking that wall down, because now everybody has the chance, the opportunity to experience it, even for a short period of time.
Mm-hmm.
But they get a chance to experience what it is to be in the military. But the response from the panel that was on the radio station, it was only 3 people, told me that America may not be ready to address that yet. That's not something they're interested in.
Can you tell me a little more about, like, what was it about their response that made you feel that way?
Were
they real reluctant, or?
Their response was, oh, hell no, why would anybody want to go do that?
Mm-hmm.
Why would I want to go sacrifice a year of my life when I could be doing whatever? Mm-hmm. That was kind of the response from all 3. Well, as a veteran or a service member, I look at that and it tells me what you did is unappreciated.
Yeah.
It tells me that America really don't care about you. It tells me that it's okay for you to make the sacrifice that you did, as long as that I can get the benefits from it. Which tells me why I don't want you to say those words.
Yeah.
Makes sense?
You know, I think in a lot of ways, mandatory military service, you know, serving a year or 2 in the military here would be really great in so many different ways. But in one way, I think that, you know, if I'm an adversary of the United States, and I know that not only do I have to deal with the military, which I'm terrified of, but I also have to deal with civilians who have been trained by the military,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to think twice. I'm going to think twice about invading the homeland.
It can be a deterrent, but I'm not saying that my opinion is everybody should serve in the military. What I'm saying is the people that do decide to serve in the military, they're doing something that you never would want to do. And they're doing it for you.
Mm-hmm.
They're not doing it for themselves. Because once we join the military, we don't have a voice per se anymore. We're told what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Back to somebody asking me for the first time, what do you want to do? When you're in the military, you don't have that. You have do this, do that, do this, do that.
Mm-hmm.
But
So-
it's not appreciated.
What did you want to do? Did you have any thoughts about what you wanted to do after you retired?
The crazy thing is, I wanted to continue to serve. Not so much in the military, but to continue to serve the community, the people that all those years I protected. Now you need to find a way, I need to find a new mission, which is also in the book. One thing about us is that we need a purpose. Most people that serve in the military, especially if they serve as long as I did, they need a purpose. They need something to keep them motivated. And I was trying to find that as well. What is my purpose now? How do I continue to serve my community, whether they're grateful for it or not? That's keeping me going, which is kind of what I did.
Yeah. Before we go any further, can you tell us a little bit about your life story and what led you to service in the military, and, you know, just how you came to write this book?
A little bit about me. I joined the military when I was 15. Well, actually 14, because I joined what they had at that time was called delayed entry. And when you do delayed entry, what happens is I joined the summer between my 11th grade year and my 12th grade year. No, I joined while I was in my 11th grade year. I went to basic training, AIT, which is where you learn to do basic military stuff, and you learn your job, your MOS. The summer everybody else was out of school, I went to basic training AIT for 13 weeks. Then I went back home, and I went through my 12th grade year, and then when everybody went back to school, I graduated. And when everybody else went back to school for their next year, I went to my first duty station. But I was already in the military. I was just in school in the military. So I did that, and my first duty station sent me to Germany. And from that point I stayed in Germany 15 out of my 27 years. The rest is spread out throughout the United States and Korea, places like that. So I was fortunate enough to be around a lot of people for a long time and meet a lot of people, cultures, and things like that. But still, you're serving in the military, and it kind of was my story. So when I retired, again, I was trying to find a purpose. What's next? I think I did everything I can do here. You know, normal service is 20 years, and I did 27. So after 7 extra years, I'm 7 years behind the normal people that would get out, and I got to find myself now. What do I do next? I started to, I always had a goal. I wanted to serve the community, and what it was is I wanted to give back. I always loved kids. And I was like, okay, I grew up in a skating rink or a family entertainment center. And what I did is I made it my goal to try and open one. So I did that, trying to give back to the community, and realize that sometimes the community is not accepting what you're trying to give them. And I used to always hear people say, thank you for your service. And I started feeling certain ways about it. And then it took me on a trip through the book. And yeah, it kind of changed my mind. And as I got more information and talked to more service people and more people that were interacting with veterans and veteran organization groups and things of that nature, it kind of took me, man, why do people say this? Why do they say thank you for your service? What's the meaning behind it? What does it mean to them? I'm getting the information from all the ex-service members, what it means to them. But it's like that car salesman. You walked on the car lot, and as a defensive mechanism, the first thing coming out your mouth is, I'm just looking. So when you see a veteran, and first thing, once you find out they're a veteran, first thing come out your mouth is, oh, thank you for your service.
Almost like a reflex.
That's a reflex.
Yeah.
And that reflex for a veteran is like, okay, but now what? I did my part. Are you going to do yours? And that brought about the book.
Okay. In the book, you write about how you come from a family that has served the military generation after generation, and how much that means to you. I wanted to ask you about that. Can you tell me what it means to be from a family of that has this history of military service, and how it should change the way civilians think about serving their country?
So coming from that background, what you get is you get a sense of pride. You get a sense of fulfillment because you feel like you're part of a tradition. But you also get to see the other side of it, which is your family members come back and they're different. Or your family members go and serve and they come home and they carrying extra baggage, per se. All those things, they build on each other. I wasn't in a situation where I was committed to actually join the military. Nobody ever told me, hey, you got to join the military. I had a partial scholarship to go to school, and I didn't want my family to pay for me to go to school. And to me, other family members had told me, hey, you go to school, they get a GI Bill. They'll pay for your school. Ding! That's my way. So that's what drove me in the military. So, yeah.
Yeah. So what is it that civilians should understand about military service but they don't?
Everything.
Elaborate on that.
It sounds like a simple answer, but most civilians that you talk to don't know anything about the military. They don't know. They may know service members. They may know that they deploy, but they don't know what's going on with that person. They don't know what they see. They don't have an inkling of how they feel. They don't understand what it is to go to the field and be in the field for 30 days. And the only people you see are your team or your squad or your platoon or whoever. And be away from everybody. And there's nothing in civilian world that kind of equates to that. It can be bond building, which it is, for the service members, but it can also be lonely. Because when we're not in the field and we're not doing an actual mission, now you got to find your tribe or your path. Some people don't find a path and they end up lonely. And that's something that civilians wouldn't understand.
Is this like what you write about when you talk about putting on the weight of the uniform?
Yeah, it is, because the uniform, everybody's always watching you, but nobody sees you. That makes sense? Because they watch you because you're in a service. It's like being a leader. They consider you a leader, but nobody sees what you lead or what your value is. You're just a uniform. And that's a disconnect.
Yeah, I imagine. Can you tell us a little bit about the GI Bill and how it's supposed to work?
The GI Bill is well, there's the one I came in, which was the Montgomery GI Bill, and now we have the post 9/11 GI Bill. So the Montgomery GI Bill was designed where the service member would pay into it, and the military would match whatever amount you paid into it. They would match that to a certain point, and then you could use that money to go to school. The new post 9/11 GI Bill is a little bit different. So it's still supposed to allow you to go to school, but they pay you a stipend for going to school, as well as they kind of pay for your education, your books, and everything else that goes along with it. Which is great to have, but the downside is less than 50% of the military service people use the GI Bill at all.
Wow, less than 50%?
Yeah.
Okay, well, you touched about this earlier,
Mhm.
and I just wanted to bring it up. The myth of stability, in your book, you write about it, where civilians look at soldiers and they think, well, they've got guaranteed education, they've got housing, they've got health care, they're well taken care of. So why doesn't this GI Bill work for our soldiers? What's going on here? And why is that a myth?
I think the myth is not that the GI Bill doesn't work. I think the myth is that soldiers are well taken care of. While you're in the military, you're taken care of because you're under somebody's control all the time. Once you get out of the military, who's taking care of you? Who's telling you what needs to be done, how to do it, how to fill out the paperwork for the GI Bill, how to use the GI Bill? There's systems out there that talk about it. There's advertisements on TV. But nobody's actually guiding you through this process. They're just assuming you would know because you were in the military. There's a lot of service members. I mean, there's things out there like the VA benefits that you can use to buy a home. But if nobody teaches you that, it's a service that's out there. You're a veteran, you should know it. But nobody's teaching you how those inner workings work. So a lot of the programs that we do have for veterans, the problem that we have is there's no education on them. And if you don't look or know to look for certain things, you never find them. And that could lead to a lot of the things we talk about in the book, like homeless and depression and struggles and marital issues and things of that nature, which all are common. It's not only common in the military, but it's also common in civilian world. A little bit different though when you come from guaranteed, I got a house, I got a check, I got this, I got that, and now you don't have all those guarantees.
Like
So-
all of that's just kind of been taken away from you.
Yeah. Yep. And most veterans, unless, I mean, even veterans today, I'm sure you've heard of it, most veterans live paycheck to paycheck. Well, if you live paycheck to paycheck, and all of a sudden those paychecks stop, let's say you never made it to retirement, so you don't get a paycheck, those paychecks stop. Now you got to go and convert yourself into being a normal civilian, which is different.
So you write in a section titled "A System That Needs Repair" that most systems are designed for veterans but not with them. And afterwards, you lay out a call for real support, and these are 5 separate ways of addressing the challenges faced by our vets. The first is rapid housing, which I was not expecting that. Can you tell us a little bit about the problems going on with veterans being unhoused in this country?
So kind of like what we was just talking about. We were talking about how veterans get out the military where they're housed, fed, paid, on time, every day. Well, you get out of that and you now have to fend for yourself. And sometimes that means going back home to wherever your parents or your family members are.
Okay.
How long can you do that? Where's the honor in that? I served my country. And so I can go live with my mom and dad? Not saying that that's bad or good. I'm saying that most civilians would never think about that. What happens to you after that, after the military? Which is the transition. we talked about at the beginning, how do we transition from what we did in the military to what we do in the civilian world? Well, if I was a mechanic, which is an example in the book, I was a mechanic and I was the best mechanic in my unit or wherever in the military, but I get out and I want to go work for a mechanic in the civilian world. First thing they ask me for is what? Where's my certifications? Where's my degrees? Where's this? Where's that? I don't have that. I got 20 years of experience though. I can fix a tank.
Yeah.
Even with people shooting at me, I can do that. But you're asking me for some paperwork, and I can't provide that to you because I don't get that from the military. There's a wall there.
Yeah, you talked about a mechanic actually in here. I wanted to bring him up. His name was Deshaun from Georgia.
Yeah.
And he actually had that experience. He went to a job interview and he was told, well, you know, we can't verify your skills and you don't really have a degree, you don't have a certification, we're sorry. We can't hire you, even though he could work on anything. From a generator to a tank to a Humvee to your basic Honda, he could do anything. And I wanted to ask you, is this a failure of the GI Bill? Is this that invisible wall between civilians and veterans, or is it both? Is it just a failure of everything? Like,
I would address it to a failure of understanding of both systems. It's a failure of the contract that we as veterans made with America. It's a failure of the civilian populations for not understanding what veterans actually bring to the table. There's stigmas there that are hard to break. Like most civilians, when they see that you're a veteran, the first thing they say is, oh, he's hard to deal with, he wants everything like this, this, and this. They don't take into account that even as, we'll say, the lowest ranking leader in the military is leading 7 people. The lowest ranking. If I'm a leader in the military, I'm leading 7 people. Well, some mom and pop stores only have 3 or 4 employees. I'm managing $100 million worth of equipment, depending on my rank. That's a Walmart.
yeah.
I'm controlling my level. I had 300 people underneath me. That's a Walmart. But you don't equate that as a civilian to me. There's a breakdown there.
Yeah.
And I don't understand. I do understand there's a breakdown there. I understand where the breakdowns are. I don't know if society, because it's 99% of you, it's easy to shun out that 1% and say, no, they just don't fit. But they're actually more qualified than you are
Yeah.
to do, whatever you want them to do. And they might have a little more structure to where they want to do it. But they can adapt. That's one of the things that military service members do regardless. We adapt. We adapt to our environment. We adapt to not having water. We adapt to not being able to wash. We adapt to being able to, whatever the circumstances are, we adapt.
So you said something earlier I want to go back to. What
Please.
is it that veterans bring or could bring to the civilian world if that barrier was taken out? If civilians were like, oh wow, they saw what you did and they knew your skills and they brought you into the civilian world, like what would they bring to the table?
I can't speak for every service
What
member.
are we missing out on, I guess?
I think adaptability is one thing you really miss out on. You miss out on leadership, understanding how to read people, understanding how to, in the military we say leadership is to influence a person to do something that they normally wouldn't want to do against their will. That's leadership. And have them buy into the system. So instead of just showing up to work and doing a job and doing my time to get paid for my time, I'm doing it because I'm bought into your system, which ultimately would make your business what? More successful. Because now I can see myself in your business. I'm not just showing up to get a check. Military people can bring that. Can. Not all are the same. Just like in civilian life, this less than 1% of population, we got our problems too. But the ones that make it through the military and actually serve to completion of their tour, most of them they're different than they were when they came in. And they can bring a lot of things that civilian people can't. Like showing up on time. Something instilled in us from the go. Got to be there on time. Got to be there at least 15 minutes early. Why? Because you never know. You got to plan for what happens if you don't make it in time. Well, that's not something that's taught in the civilian world. We just say be there on time. So there's a lot of things that ex-servicemen can bring, service members can bring to a business. It all depends on where they were in the rank structure, on their career, their experience. I can't put us all into one big pot and say we're all this. We can all bring that. What I can say is that more often than not, what we bring is something that you don't have, and that you probably don't even know you don't have. Because you never step back and look at it the way we would. And it's not always what civilian people want to hear. Because if I create a business like I did, the worst thing people could do to me is come to me and tell me how I should run my business. I don't think military personnel would come in and tell you how to run your business. I think they would tell you how they can help you run your business. And if you take that, it can be a win-win for everybody. Then you can see the value in them. They can see the value in what you're doing.
It seems to me, when I talk to veterans, I hang out with them, they are natural team players. Like, they are people who can work in a team. They can organize a team to meet an objective. They're just natural at that. Whereas I think civilians have often this more individualistic idea. Like, it's all on me. I have to do it myself. I have to do this. I have to do that. And I feel like that is a huge plus as far as like hiring a veteran. I mean, would you agree with that, or?
Yeah, because we have to depend on each other. Because there's nobody else to depend on. So we have to, as many flaws as each person may have, we have to learn how to work around your flaws to protect the group, so that we can get whatever mission we have done. Whereas in the civilian world, it's easy for me to just be mad at you and say, you know, he can't pull his weight, or she can't pull her weight because she doesn't know how to do this.
Yeah.
That's not in us. We're like, man, you know they're not good at that. Why you have them do it? So now we're holding each other accountable. Or did you teach them how to do this? Or we need to take time. We need to make sure they're able to do this, because without them, that whole scenario about the chain's only as strong as its weakest link,
Yeah.
is what we live by. Where in the civilian world, if the link is weak, I can step over that and I can get that position, or I can take advantage of that.
Yeah.
And that's not what we do.
So I wanted to ask you, this is something that you touched on earlier, that you talk a lot about in your book, and that's the importance of purpose. So I wanted to ask you, do you think that the average civilian understands the importance of purpose to the human condition as much as a soldier does? And are we misunderstanding the mental health crisis that's facing our veterans today? Because as a civilian, I've always had it in my head, and maybe you touched on this earlier, that soldiers come back from combat and they struggle with PTSD, they struggle with the memories. And I do think that that is a part of it, but this whole crisis of purpose and of having a mission, can you talk to me a little more about that?
You have to think that in the military, everything we do is a mission.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have a mission, the first thing you do is you try to find out, what are we doing? The 3 W's. When,
Okay.
what, where, how, why. 5 W's, excuse me. You try to find out those 5 W's.
Mm-hmm.
That gives you a purpose. So even if it's going from here to go eat, how are we doing it? What time are we doing it? Why are we doing it? All those W's, that's a purpose. For why are we going? We're going to eat. But why are we going now? Why are we going, you know what I'm saying? Most civilians don't have that. They don't even think like that.
No.
But everything we do is a mission.
Mm-hmm.
Everything we do is a mission. And our missions build on each other. So my little part may be making sure the nut on the wheel is tight. Your part may be making sure the wheel is pumped up. The next person's part may be making sure there's a rim to hold the wheel. But all of it's working towards one thing, which is to make that whole thing turn and roll. Mm-hmm. We don't think like that in the civilian world. I say we because I'm a civilian now,
Yeah.
even though I'm a veteran, but we don't think like that in the civilian world. Mm-hmm. We're not mission purpose like that.
Yeah, because you wrote here on page 55, purpose isn't a luxury, it's oxygen. You can live without applause, without comfort, even without safety, but live without purpose and the mind begins to starve.
Yeah.
Is that how veterans feel around this country? Do they feel that they're being thrown into the civilian world and they've lost their purpose? Is that...
Well, I think it's human nature to want. You hear a lot of civilians say, man, I just found my purpose. I love this job. Mm-hmm. I just found my purpose. I'm helping the homeless. I just found my purpose. I'm doing whatever it is you're doing. So it's not just a military thing. It's a human thing. Mm-hmm. But we've already been instilled that we need to find a purpose in what we do. Mm-hmm. Whereas in you, you're looking for a purpose. You're looking for why. Why am I here? And you can put it to a higher power. Why did God, or whoever you choose to believe in or not, why am I here on this earth? You're looking for your purpose. But in the military, we're given our purpose. So when you take that away, now we have to do what every other civilian in the world is doing, and try to find our purpose again. Because all this time, the military was our purpose. And it's taken now, it's gone. So you have to find a new purpose. In my case, still trying to help the community. Volunteer, coach sports, open up a business for the community, whatever, write a book.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a new mission on a new surface. That's all it is.
If there are veterans that are watching this program right now,
Yep.
and they're thinking, how do I find my purpose? I'm lost. I served, I knew what my life was supposed to be like every single day in the military, and now I'm here and I am so lost and I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing or what my purpose is. What do you want to say to them?
Part of the answer is, first, you have to understand where they are. You can't find a purpose if you're lost. You can't find a purpose if you're homeless. Can't find a purpose if you don't have a way to take care of yourself, a job. You can't find a purpose if you are struggling to survive or mentally struggling. So you got to know where they are before you can even look for a purpose. Once all of those things are covered, what brings joy to you? What makes you happy?
Me?
No, not you, but
Oh.
them.
Yeah.
What would
Okay.
bring joy to them? Strive towards that. Because ultimately that's what every human wants, right? They want to be happy.
Yeah.
Ultimately, that becomes your purpose. And if you can find that joy, strive. Go for it.
So, from what I understand, you went around the country and you worked with some nonprofits that were run by veterans, some small businesses that wanted to work with veterans. Can you tell us a little bit about that experience?
Purpose. It goes back to that same
Purpose.
word.
Yeah.
What is the purpose? How can I help the community? What is the community I can help? A lot of the people I talk to, I just talk to them based off of wanting to know where they are. How are they doing? What are the needs inside their community? What are your needs, personally needs? Are there ways we can link different people and groups and organizations up together to benefit the total soldier or the total veteran? To do that, we got to first identify their problems. As I talk about in the book, one of the major key problems is if you don't have a stable household, you're not stable. They talk about in the Bible, after you teach, you could go fishing for somebody and give them fish, or you can teach them to fish and they can take care of themselves.
Yeah.
Same concept. Don't build a program and put a title on it and think about what's the stats of the program. We had this many people come through. We had this many people come through. Yeah, but how many people did you help? Nobody looks at that stat. And that's the stat that matters the most. If 500 people come through your program and you only help 0, yeah, your stats look great. But the service member that you're supposedly helping is still in the same situation, if not worse. Because now they're even more depressed because you were supposed to help me, and you didn't.
So just a failure of
So there's a
system.
failure on the system right there. Or you build a program and you never ask the veteran how that program should work for them. One template doesn't fit everybody, but we should have an understanding of what it is we're trying to address. And is that something that veterans really need? i.e. the certificate program. I talk about it in the book, how I got with a group. There's a group of us. I don't have all the answers. I just was a conduit. Hey, let's talk to the bank. Let's talk to the local community center. Let's talk to the Veterans Association. Let's talk to this junior college. Okay, how can we take military's career and transfer those into credits? How can we get them to certification so they can go and work in a machine shop, fixing cars or whatever? It can all be done. It takes a little bit thinking outside the box, though. And you got to first see what they need. And that's team building, though. And that overall helps the community at large. It helps not just only the veteran, because now that veteran is a key contributor to the community.
Yeah.
And that helps the whole community. And that's what ultimately it should be about. But we got a lot of shortcomings in America as a whole.
Yeah.
that we got to fix. But this should be something that should be addressed as well.
I think so, absolutely. Okay. So you also talk about forgiving the system, the broken system. So how does somebody who has been so harmed by the system, who has been really hurt, believed in the promise that they were going to serve their country and the country would take care of them, and all of that's been broken, how do they forgive this broken system? And why? Why should they forgive the broken system?
I think it's more like when you're mad with somebody, you don't forgive them for them, you forgive them for you. We understand that there's a lot of money and everything that's poured into these programs, these systems. Some of it is forward-facing, meaning that there's a picture that looks really good, but when you look behind the picture, it's nothing there, no substance there. To build that substance that needs to be there, we need to hold people accountable, include the right people when we're building the systems, i.e. the service member. Make sure that each system is effective and follow up on it. It's not really that hard. It's kind of how you give direction. You give direction, you tell somebody what you want. Tell them how you want it. You let them go do it, you come back, you check on it, make sure they did it the way you want it to your standard. And then if it's something that needs to be corrected, you correct it. And you let them fix it and you move on to the next thing.
Seems like common sense.
Common sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, but because we're dealing with people, and sometimes a lot of money, that common sense gets lost. And we as the veterans, it's hard enough for us to come and ask for help. It's hard enough for us to say we have a problem. It's hard enough for us to find a place where we can voice our problems.
Yeah.
So yeah, it takes mental health, healing, understanding, patience. It's going to take an aptitude of everybody, but it takes a village. But that was the promise that America made to us when we enlisted. And we just want to hold them accountable to that promise.
Yeah. So if there are local leaders that are listening to everything you're saying and they're saying, I want to help veterans here, right here in this community. I love the idea of veterans being part of the community, of bettering the community. I'm all for it. What would you tell them to do first?
Hire a veteran. Not any veteran. Hire the right one. Or hire a veteran and that has the outlook of what needs to be done. And just work with them. You can guide them, direct them any way you want to, as long as y'all are moving towards the goal, the mission, as we would say in the military. The mission is the well-being of the veteran. But the veteran doesn't stop with just the service member or the active duty person or the person that got out and retired. It doesn't stop there. It also includes the family members, because they went through stuff too. They may have PTSD. They may have issues. They may have family needs and things of that nature. So it's a total concept that needs to be addressed. Start with the veteran, though. The right one.
Okay, what would be the right veteran?
As a leader of any group, you need to be able to read people, see if their heart is in the right spot. You know, we're all human. You know, and once you find the right people, everything else will fall into place.
Yeah.
So I can't tell you what right and wrong is. I'm just saying the right person for what you want to get done. If you have the right person for what you want to get done, then yeah, it should be easy, because they should be able to adapt. They should be able to give you guidance. They should be able to give you feedback. They should be able to tell you the risk. They should be able to tell. See what I'm saying? They should be able to provide things to you, and you provide the method to get it done.
Okay. You write a lot in this book about the VA and the bureaucracy of the VA and how difficult it is to access benefits for veterans. So I want to ask you, as a civilian who has never had to deal with the VA or any of that world, what does it feel like to have to deal with the VA?
It's like going to a place to die. Almost.
Okay. I think you wrote in the book, the VA is a place where patience goes to die.
And that's what I mean about going to die. Because of the bureaucracy, I can't even say the word.
Bureaucracy.
There's a lot of patience that comes along with going to VA. You got a lot of veterans that get out the military after serving whatever amount of time that they served, and you have to fight through the system to get to what you would figure as a veteran of 100% disability.
Okay.
So I retired after 27 years and I was 90%. So you as a civilian listening to me say 90%, you're like, oh, that's easy. You only got 10 more percent to become 100% disabled. Also in your mind, you're equating that to, man, he's really beat up. That may be physically, mentally, it may be a whole lot of different ways. But as a civilian, you hear 90%, and you're like, oh, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Okay? It took me 6 more years to become 100% disabled. Because I had to go through the VA system. And it's an uphill battle. They understand that you went through all this stuff. They understand that your body got beat up. They understand that you experienced PTSD. They understand all this stuff. But we're going to do everything we can not to give you what you need. Because it's money involved now. It's not about taking care of you. It's about the money. It's about the benefits that you'll get. It's about the bureaucracy. And why should it be that hard? We're only talking about less than 1%.
Yeah.
We're talking less than 1% of the nation's population. If all of them were 100% disabled, it's still only less than 1%.
Yeah.
Why do they have to fight you so hard?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't understand that.
But the system is set up that way. So, as a veteran, that makes you ask: is the system really set up to help me? It's just like everything else, though. People do take advantage of things. I understand that. But let's just say we carpet blanche everybody, and we say, hey, every person that serves in the military, when you get out, we're going to give you 100% disability. Let's just say that.
Okay.
Still less than 1% of the population of the United States.
Yeah.
What's the fight for?
I don't know. That's something really crazy to think about. Why are they holding on so tightly to those dollars?
I understand it's taxpayers' money. I do. I understand it. I understand the money part. Okay. Then if you don't want to give them 100% disability, give them a job. Give them a house. Give them a way to take care of themselves. Give them something besides that flag that's on the front of that book. That's the same flag that you gave to the service members that gave their lives. Give them something. Follow through with the promise. They did their part.
Yeah.
It's time for America to do its part. Not that I'm ungrateful. It says it in the book. It's not about being ungrateful. It's about holding your end of the bargain.
Yeah, keeping your promises.
Keeping your promises. To less than 1% of the population.
Yeah.
So that you can have all the freedoms that you have. Not one freedom, all the freedoms that you have. I don't think that's asking for much.
I don't think so either. I really don't. So can you tell me a little bit about your faith and what role that's played in this whole process? And what role it could play in a veteran's life who's maybe struggling right now?
I mean, everybody has difference in faith. So I can't speak for everybody. My faith, I'll be honest, I'm not a person that goes to church every Sunday and I'm doing this and I'm doing that, I'm doing this. I believe in a higher power. I believe in God, which keeps me grounded, which keeps me focused on what's right for humanity. Not just service members, but for humanity overall. So my faith is important to me. But again, everybody's different, and I can't go in depth as far as what you should do or the next person should do. I can only talk about me. My faith kind of drove me to write that book. It's something that every time somebody would say it to me, it would eat me up. And I'm like, man, they just don't understand. They just don't understand. And they don't. And in the book, I try to explain what they don't understand, which is why allow me to explain is there. Let me explain to you why you don't really understand. The book is supposed to be a conversational starter. Like we're talking right now, most people never talk about these topics. They never talk about service members at all. They just take for granted that they're there and they'll go fight these wars and they'll give their life up, and unless there's a service member that's close to you or in your family directly, the loss of that life or the wounded or whatever doesn't affect you because you're 99% of the population.
Yeah.
So hopefully, I'm sure most veterans can gravitate toward the book, but the book's kind of not just for veterans. It's for the other 99%.
It's for civilians.
Yeah, it's for the rest of the world or the rest of the population that don't understand, that don't or thank me for my service it's a bond. We made an agreement. I'm going to serve for you, but in the back end, you're going to serve for me. How that service shakes out may be different for each person, but it should still be there. And that's what the book's about.
What's your greatest hope for this book?
That it starts a conversation. I'm an honest conversation. One with some substance and some follow through behind it. But first of all, it's got to start a conversation.
Yeah. So if there's one thing that a civilian could say to a service member instead of, "Thank you for your service," what would that be?
How can I help?
How can I help? I like that.
Because at that point, you're obligating yourself to do something. You're obligating yourself to commit to something. Most service members are not going to say, "Oh, well, give me some money." They ain't going to say that. They'll be like, "Got a job? Got a place I can live? Can you teach me something?" Now you're helping them reintegrate into society. They're not asking for handouts. Most service members never do that. That's why there's so many people that are homeless, that are service members. They ain't going to ask you for a handout. They're going to adapt. And if one of the things of adapting is, I don't have to ask you, you're going to offer it to me to help me, that's a win. Then we get away from the homelessness.
Yeah.
We get away from all the other problems we got.
So you write on one of almost the last page, page
Please.
99, the divide between veterans and civilians isn't inevitable. It's not carved into history or culture. It's a gap that can be crossed with curiosity, humility, and time. Because the real strength of this country has never been in its weapons. It's in its willingness to bridge the distance between hearts. And that bridge begins here.
In the conversation.
Those are beautiful words. Thank you so much for sitting down and having this conversation with me, Michael Parker. I really appreciate it. The book is Don't Thank Me for My Service, Allow Me to Explain. And thank you all so much for joining with us here today. Thank you.
Thank you.